morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me once again to be back in this excellent meeting. My topic today will be complementary medicine in preventive cardiology. It's well known that antioxidants, dietary supplements, and vitamins have been evaluated for both primary and secondary prevention of coronary artery disease for more than 30-40 years. Studies of the mechanism of atherosclerosis suggest that probably antioxidants might be protective. However, despite that we have seen in observational studies beneficial effects, most randomized controlled trials have not found antioxidant supplementation to be effective for the prevention of coronary artery disease. So I'm going to discuss with you today where is the evidence in this area, starting first of all with a few data concerning the pathophysiology. Is well known to all of you that inflammation and oxidative stress are critical for the initiation and the progression of atherosclerosis, and it's well known that oxidized LDL plays a crucial role in the monocyte adhesion, cell formation, and also the progression of atherosclerosis and plaque formation. And the idea was by using antioxidants, we may inhibit the LDL oxidation, and this was based in different studies where they have seen that vitamin C is a potent endogenous antioxidant, may reverse the defects induced by smoking, including oxidative stress, and increase monocyte adhesion to endothelium. The enhanced oxidative stress susceptibility of small dense LDL appear to be related to reduced content of vitamin E according to some studies. And they have seen also that vitamin E reverses the endothelium dysfunction in patients with variant angina and also may improve the arterial compliance. In other studies, they have seen that vitamin E inhibits the platelet aggregation, prevents the intraarterial thrombus formation, and has the inhibitory effects on small cell proliferation through the inhibition of protein kinase C. And also they have seen that with the supplementation of vitamin E, they have seen a decrease in monocyte endothelial cell adhesion by decreasing the expression of β1 and β2 in integrin adhesion molecules on the surface of the monocyte, and by reducing also the expression of inflammatory cell adhesion markers. But all of them were in experimental studies. What we can see and what we have seen in the different trials. Let's start with the primary prevention. We have three major observational studies. The first one was the Nurses' Health Study, where they treat with 100 international units, vitamin E, close to 88,000 women with 8 years follow-up, and they notice by using the vitamin E supplements an increase of major coronary disease and also cardiovascular mortality. In another study, they follow 4,000 health professionals for 4 years using either vitamin E and supplements of vitamin E. Once again, they notice significant reduction of coronary heart disease. Finally, there is another study, is postmenopausal women. Once again, they treat them with different vitamins or vitamin E. Once again, they notice significant reduction of death from coronary artery disease. But all of them were observational studies. When they looked the randomized controlled trials, and here we have the data from the Finnish alpha-tocopherol beta-carotene cancer prevention study, where they treat 27,000 male smokers, and they follow them for 6 years by using vitamin E and beta-carotene. They didn't notice any significant difference in the primary endpoint, which was the non-fatal MI and fatal coronary heart disease. There are 3 other major randomized trials in this area of the primary prevention. The first one was the collaborative group of the primary prevention project. They treat close to 4,500 subjects with 1 or more risk factors. They receive daily 300 milligrams of vitamin E, which is about 450 international units. They didn't notice any effect on the primary endpoint, which was cardiovascular death, non-fatal MI, or non-fatal stroke. In the women's health study, they follow close to 40,000 healthy women with a 10 years follow-up. They treat them with 600 international units, vitamin E, or placebo. Once again, there was no effect on the primary endpoint, which was first cardiovascular event or all-cause mortality. And finally, we have the Physicians' Health Study 2, 14,000 physicians, 8 years follow-up. They received 400 international units of vitamin E or 500 milligram vitamin C, both or neither. Once again, there was no effect on the primary endpoint, which was major cardiovascular events. There are two major studies by using beta-carotene. As you can see in the left part, we have the first study was a Finnish one with 18,000 high-risk men and women. 4 years follow-up, they treat them with beta-carotene and vitamin E, and as you can see here, they notice a significant increase. The relative risk was 1.27 of cardiovascular death, while in the other one, by treating 20,000 men, 12 years follow-up with 50 milligram of carotene, there was no any effect on cardiovascular events. Concerning the vitamin C, we have this study here, the Physicians' Health Study 2. They treat 14,000 physicians, 8 years follow-up. They received 500 milligram daily vitamin C, 400 units vitamin E, both or neither. Once again, as you can see here, there was no difference in the major cardiovascular events in both groups. Concerning the multivitamins, we have the Suvimax study, which was a randomized placebo-controlled trial. 13,000 French adults received either 150 milligram ascorbic acid plus 30 milligram vitamin E, 6 milligram beta-carotene, 100 milligram selenium, and 20 milligram zinc or placebo. They follow them for 5 years. And as you can see here, we have the data from ischemic cardiovascular disease. There was no difference in intervention and placebo, no difference, no significant difference by using all the above. So if I would like to summarize the data from the primary prevention, it seems that the efficacy of vitamin C, E, and beta-carotene have been evaluated in the primary prevention for the last 20-30 years. Although initially the observational studies of dietary vitamin E have been encouraging, the observational studies with vitamin C have conflicting results. The supplementation of vitamin E, vitamin C, and beta-carotene or randomized clinical trials have not been shown to be useful for the primary prevention, whether given alone or in combination. However, they have seen by using high doses of vitamin E, higher than 400 international units per day, that this type of dose may be associated with an increase in all-cause mortality. What happens with secondary prevention of coronary artery disease? This is the well-known trial where they try to see the influence of alpha-tocopherol, beta-carotene on the incidence of major coronary events in patients with a previous myocardial infarction. Here we have the data by using beta-carotene, alpha-tocopherol, beta-carotene, alpha-tocopherol or placebo. And as you can see, the combination of alpha-tocopherol and beta-carotene increases up to 50% the risk of fatal coronary heart disease. And also, this is mainly due to beta-carotene, and there was no any difference by using alpha-tocopherol versus placebo. There was another study where they tried to see the effect of alpha-tocopherol and beta-carotene on symptoms and the progression of and prognosis of angina. Once again, no difference. And as you can see here, we have one of the most popular studies, which was the HOPE trial for those related in cardiovascular prevention. This was very popular in the field of hypertension at that time. there was a subgroup there receiving vitamin C. They treat high-risk patients with diabetes and previous coronary artery disease with vitamin E or placebo. Once again, there was no difference in the primary outcome, death from any cause, myocardial infarction or stroke. And there was an extension, the HOPE-2 trial, for 2.5 more years by using the vitamin E, and they have seen an increase in the risk of heart failure and heart failure hospitalization in those treated with vitamin E. However, they did notice any difference in the incidence of cancer or major cardiovascular events in this subgroup with close to 10,000 patients. Here we have the women's antioxidant cardiovascular study, the WAVE study, once again by using vitamin C, vitamin E, or active beta-carotene. There was no any significant difference in the primary endpoint. Similar data we have here by using different combination of the three of them. And also, if you will see the data in the subgroup receiving also some estrogens, they notice by using the hormone replacement therapy that there was an increase of death from non-fatal MI, both in those receiving hormone replacement therapy and also in those receiving antioxidant therapy. Here you can see with more details in those receiving hormone replacement therapy or vitamin C and V, always there is a higher incidence in all deaths, cardiovascular deaths, non-fatal MI death or non-fatal MI and cardiovascular death. Just to remind you once again, talking about heart failure and the role of antioxidants, we have seen from the HOPE-2 trial that antioxidants may increase the risk of heart failure and heart failure hospitalization. We have also some meta-analysis published recently looking all the trials in primary and secondary prevention, and as you can see, there is no difference here in major cardiovascular events. There is no difference in myocardial infarction, no difference in the risk of stroke, no difference in the risk of total death, and no difference in the risk of cardiac death. This is another meta-analysis where they try to see if there is any difference in the high and low dose of vitamin E, and it seems, as you can see here, by using the high dose of vitamin E may have an increase in all-cause mortality. And it's more clear here. You can see in most of the trials using high doses of vitamin C, they have seen, let's say, worse outcome than beneficial effect. So it seems from secondary prevention, the summary is that overwhelming majority of evidence suggests that there is no benefit from antioxidants for secondary prevention of coronary heart disease. One exception may be the use of vitamin E in patients with chronic kidney disease receiving hemodialysis. Just giving you a summary for vitamin E. Vitamin E is found in a variety of foods, including oils, meat, eggs, and leafy vegetables. The form that is best known for its role in human health is the alpha-tocopherol. The recommended daily allowance of vitamin E is about 15 milligrams of alpha-tocopherol. It's rare to have a vitamin E deficiency in our days. Most studies suggest that pharmacological dose of vitamin E supplementation should be around 100 to 400 international units per day because this dose is safe, and we have seen that higher doses, mainly from 400 international units, may increase the hemorrhagic stroke, especially in those taking vitamin K antagonists. So I would like to summarize my presentation by saying that supplementation with beta-carotene, vitamin E, and vitamin C, either alone or in combination with each other or other antioxidants, vitamins, or multivitamins, does not appear to be efficacious for the primary or secondary prevention of coronary heart disease. It seems that high doses of vitamin E higher than 400 international units per day may be associated with an increase in all-cause mortality. Beta-carotene supplementation may be dangerous and should be discouraged. Vitamin E supplementation may be of benefit for secondary prevention of coronary artery disease in patients with chronic kidney disease who are undergoing hemodialysis. It is the only group that we have seen encouraging results. And nuts, leafy greens, seed oils, and fortified cereals are among the best food sources of alpha tocopherol in daily practice. Thank you very much for your attention.